friends, I'm Michael Halcomb, and this is the Messed Up to Setups podcast. And with me today, comedian Jerry Morrison. He's based out of Nashville. We're going to have a good time. Stick around.
It's all messed up, yeah, everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just our setup.
Hello, and welcome to the Messed Up to Setups podcast. I'm comedian Michael Halcomb, and with me today, comedian Jerry Morrison. Jerry, how's it?
Hey man, how's it going, Michael? Good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's going well, bro. Thanks.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, tell us.
I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee. That's where I live. Been here for a little over 25 years. Living in Nashville. I'm from West Virginia, or as its proper Christian name is West by God, Virginia. So that's where I grew up, but I've been here in Nashville for about 25 years.
Right on. You
Yeah.
got the signature white glasses that match the ear pods there. Nice, bro.
Yeah,
right
these have kind of become a signature for me for sure. So.
Right on. Part of the comedy uniform, right? The persona.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right on, dude. Well, dude, it's good to have you here. Nashville's got a great comedy scene. Yeah, I know. Like, even apart from like what Nate Bargatze and those guys are doing with Nateland, like,
yeah,
there just seems to be like a great comedy scene there.
Yeah, there's a really, really great scene here. I travel a little bit, and just seeing some other scenes. There's a lot of really great scenes, and every scene kind of has its own personality.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun. It's kind of fun to see that. But Nashville's really cool, man. There's some really funny people here. There's some super, super funny comedians, really talented people. I think what I love about it is you can find a mic just about every night of the week. Some nights there's 2 to 3. And I mean, you can really get some good work in, and there's a lot of hardworking folks here. And I love what Nate's doing with his Nateland stuff. He's really kind of helping promote that clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clean comedy is a weird concept for me, like, because it's such a moving target. I like to use the phrase kind comedy. You know, your comedy's
nice.
kind, right? Like, that's kind of how I promote myself. I don't always necessarily work clean, but I always try to work kind. You know, like I always try to. And so I think what Nate does with Nateland is definitely helps promote that, and that's super cool. Yeah, it's awesome here, man. I like it a lot.
Right on. I wrestled with. I think a lot of us have wrestled with the nomenclature, like in the scriptures.
Right.
Like clean is, like you said, a moving target, and
right.
What one person just finds as clean, maybe the next person doesn't.
Right.
And so then, you know, like family friendly is another label I've heard.
Yep. Yeah.
Family clean is also a label I've heard.
Yeah. There's so many.
Right.
It's funny. I used to be. So what brought me to Nashville was I was a musician, and I played in the late 90s, early 2000s. I played in a Christian rock band, and there's so many parallels to being like to even just the music world, but like so many quote unquote Christian bands were always trying to escape that label, right? They were like, oh, we're just Christians in a band. And like, I mean, there's some there's some validity to that.
Right.
But I feel like clean comedy kind of has some similar connotations where it's like, people that don't know anything about it, like, oh, does that mean you're like a Christian comedian? Do you just do church shows? And it's like, no, not at all. Like, absolutely not. So it's like, I've been like, you're right. It's a struggle because it's like I want to convey what I do, but not put it in too much of a box.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I've landed on kind comedy, but even,
that's good. I like that. That's the first time I've heard kind comedy. That's a cool description. But that's funny too, dude. The analogy with like Christian bands trying to escape the label. I mean, all they got to do is follow Michael Tate's footsteps. But
no,
he really escaped it.
Oh man, yeah, I have some hot opinions on that, but this might not be the podcast for.
Man, that's
rough.
wild, isn't it? Like
it's rough.
All that stuff, dude, that's come out. Like,
and I don't want to get into the weeds, but literally the worst kept secret in Christian music. So like, rough. It's rough, and I'm not super involved in that arena these days, but like obviously still have a lot of friends that are, and just a lot of people that I know. And man, that's been the hot topic lately.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. tough stuff. But
Well, he's escaped it. Dude, I'm just curious because I haven't kept up with it in the last. Is he like gonna go to jail or anything like that, or is no?
it's a wonderful question. I have no idea.
Dude,
That's where yeah, I mean, yeah, I have no clue. Yeah. It's all I know is it's pretty rough. So
yeah, dude. So anyways, well,
yeah.
yeah. So are you a Christian? Like you?
That's that. You know, I think that's a. You know, you want to talk about putting yourself in a box, and I'll say this. So I went through a period, and this all kind of plays into how I got into comedy and all that. So if you would have asked me this question 25 years ago, the answer would have been an emphatic yes, right? I do think I went through a period of, you know, the hot phrase now is deconstruction, but I definitely like started that process back in probably about 2008, kind of quietly and internally, and kind of just wrestling and struggling with what I believed and more so I think kind of what the state of Christianity in the United States, and not to get too deep in the weeds on this, but like I think politically the state, I don't want to like, I'm not making a political statement necessarily, but I will say like watching a lot of evangelical Christians kind of sell their faith to gain some sort of political foothold really kind of soured me and turned me off, because I always say, I mean, I'm fairly liberal. I'm fine to say that, and I always tell people like what I know of Jesus and what I learned of Jesus. I didn't grow up a Christian. I didn't like, I didn't like get into church and stuff until I was a teenager, but everything that I learned about Jesus, I think, drove me to have more of these liberal leanings where it's like taking care of the poor, taking care of people that are, you know, the less fortunate. There's a whole bunch of that. So to answer that question, my relationship with faith these days, I think, is a lot more personal, and it's kind of mine. I don't know. I've leaned into I don't know, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm really okay with I don't. I used to not be okay with I don't know, because I think a lot of me wanted to be right, and I don't think I'm as concerned about that anymore as I am just. I mean, it plays into what I'm about as a comedian, is trying to be kind to people and to be loving. And so as far as how that like plays into my faith is is like kind of personal for me, and it's a moving target. I truly have no idea. Pete Holmes has this concept of I don't know if you've read his book or
I haven't read, but I'm familiar with his stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he gets a little out there with like doing shrooms in the desert. I don't think I've ever quite gone that far, but actually, I could say emphatically no, that I've never gone that far. But I think a lot of his ideas on like
the alleyway, on the other hand,
maybe that's a good different story. Yeah, like, you know, no, like this, a lot of his ideas about the idea of God and like how we kind of put him in this box. I think there's this a joke that he makes is like God is like something about like the blanket we put over the shape of God to give it like meaning, so that we can understand it. I forget the exact quote, but it's like, you know, we don't know. We're just trying to grasp. We're humans. We don't know what's beyond this. There may be nothing. This may be all that we have, right? Like, and this comedy podcast has taken a quick turn.
Hey, that's all right, dude.
But it was like, this may be it, right? Like, this may be all we have this life. And for me, it's like, man, I'm going to do the best I can to try to be kind and loving as much as I can while I'm here, because I truly don't know. That's the only thing that I can be certain of, is that I don't know what's on the other side. This might be it. And if it is, I'm going to live my life in the best way I can while I'm here. So
the kindness, like, I don't know, you're taking it too hard of a turn, because the kind persona, right? That's the sort of persona you're living out of, like, in life, but also on stage.
Yeah, I get that. I get a lot, like, people tell me, I've had people tell me that, like, I'm very, like, warm, and like, I radiate a warmness when I'm performing, and it makes people feel at ease, and I enjoy that. I like that. You know, when I started doing comedy, I've been doing comedy now for I took some classes about 2 years ago, and then I didn't really do anything with it. I really didn't start doing shows and stuff and really hitting mics and stuff really hardcore until last year. And so roughly about a year and a half. And at the beginning, like, I was trying a bunch of stuff out. I was trying to see what kind of fit for me. And some of that was like, I've never been like a super edgy comedian. Like, I'm not really into kind of the edgy comedy, but like, you know, like, I wouldn't hesitate to, you know, drop some profanities and stuff on stage. I was just trying to test out kind of where my boundaries were and seeing what I like to say. And I kind of just realized, like, none of that felt genuine to me as a person. Like, not to say that, like, for comedic effect, I won't drop some profanity here or there, but it's very measured. Now, like, I take all that very seriously because of my personality on stage. It's very warm and kind of disarming. And so if I think that it could be funny, like if I catch people off guard, for sure. But like, I do a lot of clean shows, and like, it's just not really necessary. So like, it kind of just started coming natural. And I decided this summer to really challenge myself, and like, all my new stuff is going to be like squeaky clean. Like, I've been really challenging myself to write all my new stuff to be just fairly clean and kind, you know? And to me, the whole kind concept came about because it's like, yeah, sometimes I'm not going to necessarily be clean by the standards that different people may have, but it's like, I'm always going to strive to be kind. I'm not going to punch down to people. I'm not going to put anyone else down other than myself, right? Like, myself, I'm fair game. Right. You know, I kind of lean into some self-deprecating stuff, but like, I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be, you know, not going to lean into stereotypes, and I'm not going to say the shocking things to get what could be some cheap laughs. Like, I want to be thoughtful about my comedy. And so, yeah.
Could you ever do a roast battle? Like, how to do roast?
No, absolutely. Like, I've talked about this, and so I have a guy that I work with some, and he was like recommending. He's like, maybe you should do a roast battle. It kind of helps you find some of those insecurities of yourself that you can point at. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I just it's not like I feel so. It makes me so uncomfortable. Even just watching roast battles makes me uncomfortable.
Interesting, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, the challenge there to find a kind way to roast. That's a good That's a good comedic challenge, dude.
However, I'm going to take back exactly what I just said. I did come up with the idea. So I do a fantasy football league every year. It's with a bunch of other people that are or were in the Christian music industry.
Okay.
A bunch of guys from bands, and it's to benefit this. There's a organization called the Hands and Feet Project. And it does a lot of work in Haiti. And so this is to like benefit that. And it's always a lot of fun. So we have a chat a group chat that we have to like talk about the season. And there's some trash talk and stuff in there. And I posted a video, it was some trash talk and kind of roasting all of these other guys in these Christian bands. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I absolutely would do a Christian music roast. Like, it's so niche. The market for that is like so minuscule, but like, I think it would be super fun. That would be the only roast that I would ever do.
Interesting. Do you, by chance, this is just a tangent, do you know a guy named Phil Shea?
I don't know. Sorry.
Okay, he's been very involved in the Nashville CCM and.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, I know it was a long shot, but.
Yeah, you never know. It's a small town here.
Yeah. Well, so you've been doing comedy like for a little while, but really just performing for about a year and a half. That's the same with me. I'm I'm 16 months, I think, into this.
Okay. Awesome.
Month 16 currently, as far as performing goes.
Nice.
So I'm wondering, like, what would have been like one or two like major things you've learned about comedy or joke writing or even just yourself, like, along the way?
Yeah, that's super interesting. Well, so I got into comedy because I've not really. I was never a huge stand-up comedy guy. Like, I went through a period when I was in middle school. I loved, like, I did watch a ton of comedy. I loved A&E Evening at the Improv when I was a kid. Like, I watched that so much, like Paula Poundstone and like all these other, like, so great. But like, as I got older, like the last, 5-6 years, I didn't listen to a ton of comedy. I had a few people that I really liked. I mean, Mitch Hedberg to me is like the greatest of all time. Like, I think he's so great. Like, R.I.P. man. Like, so like, it wasn't super, like, it wasn't a thing where I was always like, I'm going to do stand-up comedy someday. It really came about, like, we went to see a local comedy show here a few years back. And I left thinking, like, there was one or two folks on the show that were pretty funny. But overall, I was like, I was a little... I don't want to say unimpressed, because that makes me seem like, that I left thinking like, I could do that. And I didn't necessarily leave thinking that, but I was like, oh, that was interesting. I think, about a year later, after seeing that show, I was just sitting and I was like, I wonder if there's stand-up classes in Nashville. just kind of a random thought. Because honestly, like, I don't love speaking in front of people. And, like, it's just not something that has, like, come natural to me in the past, 10 years. And so I was like, okay, what can I do to, like, maybe help me get out of that a little bit? And so I started looking into stand-up comedy. They had some classes here, and I took them on a whim. And so then I just dove in because for me, I think a thing that I learned super quickly was that I love to write. And I kind of knew that already. I've always loved to write stories, write about my life. I had a pretty interesting childhood growing up in West Virginia. And so, like, writing about that was very therapeutic. And so I enjoyed writing about that. And then when I got the chance to, like, write jokes about maybe some childhood trauma that I had or some negative situations that I grew up through, also couple that with a really great therapist, because I will be the first to tell you, like, comedians will tell you, comedy's my therapy. And I'm like, nope, it's not a substitute. It maybe makes you funnier, but, like, not going to therapy probably makes you funnier, but, like, it's not healthy. So, but for me, the two of those together was like I can take these things that I'm dealing with or struggling through and make jokes out of them. And it takes some of the heaviness from it. And I've talked a lot to my therapist about this. It's like, it gives me maybe some ownership over some situations growing up that I couldn't control when I was young. It gives me some ownership now and to tell that story. So that's kind of one thing I learned. And then, like, kind of going through all this, like, learning, like, how to write a joke, how to be succinct, how to get to the funny quick. That's been a challenge for me over the past year and a half, because it's like, I love to tell stories and I want to tell this whole story. So, like, having to, like, really refine my jokes has been an interesting journey. And then, like, yeah, just that idea of, like, that. Oh, I think that's probably been the biggest thing, is, like, the biggest thing I've learned is, like, storytelling is one thing. I do that and I love it. Telling jokes as a comedian is a completely different thing. And, like, you really gotta, like, you gotta get to the funny fast.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And how are you married? You're married?
No, I'm divorced. I am partnered. I'm in a relationship. I was married for about 20 years and went through a divorce.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So is the culture in West Virginia similar to Tennessee? So where you grew up is similar to Nashville? Is it like night and day, or what?
It's pretty different. So I talk about this a lot. Where I grew up in Huntington, West Virginia.
I know exactly where that's at. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been there a bunch of times.
Oh, really? What for? Just curious.
So I did my undergrad at Kentucky Christian University, which is right there in Grayson, Kentucky. So not very far at all.
The band that I was in formed at Kentucky at KCC when it was KCC.
What was the band?
Bleach.
You were part of Bleach?
Yes, sir.
That's hilarious. Oh yeah, dude. You guys are, like, iconic. All right, dude. So I got a story for you. Okay.
Okay, let's hear it.
I got a Bleach story for you. So you guys were gone by the time I got there, but there was one of your bandmates had a cousin going to KCC at the time I was there. All right, dude.
Okay.
So I used to love to go cliff jumping. All right. So we go out to Grayson Lake and cliff jump all the time. So me and my buddy took another guy in our hall who had cerebral palsy. We took him out to the cliffs. We went out at night. We're gonna start a fire, do, like, a Bible study, and just hang out on the cliffs. All right. So we're out there, dude, on one of these cliffs where everybody goes and jumps off, trying to spark up a fire, and then out of nowhere we hear somebody had thrown, like, a makeshift home bomb, right? Like, and then, like, dude, I'm a kid you not, this is all true. Like, out of the woods, like, we start seeing flashlights coming towards us. We get held up at gunpoint.
Oh, no.
Yeah, dude, we're held up at gunpoint. None of us have any money. I have a quarter, literally 25 cents in my pocket. That's all I'm able to give these guys, okay? So we get held up at gunpoint. They throw a bomb thrown our way, held up at gunpoint. They leave. I don't know if they took the quarter or not, but they held us up and then they leave, all right? Come to find out that the people who held us up was one of the brothers or cousins of one of the Bleach band members. Dude, I ended up going through 9 months of court there in Grayson.
Huh.
Over all this on national news, bro.
Interesting.
And then, but yeah, like the whole Bleach connection. It was one of his brothers or cousins. So like that was my Bleach story.
That's funny.
My
I'm
dorm,
trying to.
yeah, my dorm closet doors. I had 2 sliding doors.
Yeah.
They were just every subpoena I got to have to appear in court. 2 doors were full. Yeah.
That's it. That's crazy. I wonder who that would be. I'll have to ask the guys if they know that story.
Yes.
Something about that story feels familiar to me, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's really funny.
So funny, dude. The guy who did it had like red hair, and I can't remember. So do you know John Kelly? I don't know a guy named John.
I know that name. I know that name.
He's in like Lexington, Georgetown area.
Mm-hmm.
He had a band there called Fishhook. They were, I think he was part of that band.
Yeah.
So of course Audio A and all that stuff. But that's wild, dude. That you were part of. Did you go to UCC or no?
No, I didn't. So they were there. So they're all a few years older than me. So their first album came out when I was a senior in high school. So I was living in Huntington and they were at KCC. And I didn't even. It's so funny. Like we were so close in proximity, but I didn't know them at all. I didn't meet them until way later. I didn't join the band until '99.
Okay. All right.
But man, yeah, that's funny. Grayson, I mean, every time that I go home to Huntington, I mean, right through Grayson.
Right.
So it's definitely it's an interesting part of the country, it's not super like Tennessee. Tennessee's southern. Like West Virginia, Huntington, it's not southern, it's Appalachian.
Right.
So it's but in Huntington, it's a little bit of a melting pot because you get it's definitely Appalachian, but you get a little bit of Midwestern, you get some of that kind of upper West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania kind of vibe. It really is truly a melting pot. Yeah, I mean, that certainly had an impact on me growing up there. It's an interesting place.
Yeah, wow. So that just blows my mind that the connections there. That's funny, bro. That's so funny.
So funny. Yeah.
Well, and so have you performed? Like you mentioned, you were on the road. Like, have you performed back in West Virginia? Like, mainly Tennessee?
Yeah. So I do comedy in. I'm mostly over the past year. I do a lot here locally, but I've performed in Kentucky. I've performed in Ohio. I've performed in West Virginia. Performed. Trying to think. Yeah, that's kind of my radius at this point. I'll go any. Yeah, I'll go anywhere. If you want to have me come do comedy, if I can make it happen, I'll come. But yeah, I've actually performed home. I did a show in Huntington a couple months ago, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to go back home and do some comedy. And then I was up there just a few weeks ago. There was a festival in Philippi, West Virginia, and it was super fun, super cool.
Like a comedy festival or just a regular festival?
Yeah. No, a comedy festival. Yep. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was first year that it's happened. I'm hoping it happens again. Battler's Knob, I believe. The guy, Bobby, who runs it, super cool guy. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, I got to.
Have you done other festivals?
So that was the first festival that I've done. I'm actually booked to do the North Carolina Comedy Festival in September.
Well, right on, man. Good for you.
Yeah, over in Greensboro. So.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, man. Thanks. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, so let me pull your website up here and show everybody so that they can know where to find you and see what you got coming up. The URL is jerrymorrison.me. There's 2 R's in both names, first and last name, Jerry and Morrison. So jerrymorrison.me. You can see the calendar there on the homepage, a bunch of fun pictures, but also shows. He's got up there on the link. You can see the events there. Writing.
Yeah, I have some blogs, some writing that I do, some storytelling stuff that I do. So
okay, right on.
Yeah.
So we got writing there, and then podcasts. Is this podcast you run, or that you've been on, or what?
So it's a little mixture of both. So most of these are just podcasts that I've been on, and then the one of those, the Dial M for Martin, is one that I kind of co-host with another guy. So
okay. All right, right on. So you can check out that, and then also the contact if you want to book him for any of your shows or anything like that. Yeah, and if you want to go, do a blast from the past, go to YouTube and Google or just put in Bleach, and you can maybe find some videos. What instrument did you play, dude?
I was the bass player. Yeah, and we're actually doing shows this year. We have a show in about a month. Yeah, we have a show in a month in Jacksonville at the Murray Hill Theater, and then in October we're playing the Furnace Fest in Birmingham, Alabama.
Interesting. So how do you guys all live close to each other? How do you practice and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, we're all here in Nashville, pretty much. We're Nashville adjacent, except for our drummer. He's a firefighter. He lives over in South Carolina. And how do we practice? We don't. We have not.
You don't need to.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see. We have a show in a month, and we still haven't practiced. So we'll see if we can make that happen. We'll be fine. I don't get too stressed about it. It's all muscle memory. I sat down and practiced some songs the other day with pulled out my bass, and it's like muscle memory, no problem.
Right. Awesome. Well, so that is this like is Bleach reuniting, or is this like
it is a loose reuniting? Just we're all busy with stuff. Everybody has lots of other things going on, and so I mean, we're doing what we want to do when we want to do it.
Right.
We're doing these 2 shows this year. That might be all we do for this year. And then we may pick up and do some stuff next year. There's been some talk about writing some new music, but it's nothing is set in stone. We're going to just kind of see how it goes.
Right.
You know, I'm focused, like my main creative outlet right now is doing stand up, and it's like if I can, like, I love playing music. It's somewhat of a different part of my brain. So if I can fit that in there, that's awesome. I'm like so looking forward to it. But it's great for me because we'll travel and do shows. It's like I'm going to do comedy. I'm going to find a place to go say some jokes in a microphone. So yeah, man.
Well, for those of you watching, go check out JerryMorrison.me. Check out Bleach while you're at it, and maybe pick up a ticket to the show if you're in the neighborhood. And after you've done all that, go over to michaelhalcomb.live and check that out as well. This, by the way, is part 1 of a 2-part chat with Jerry. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, whatever it is you use to get your podcast, so that you know when part 2 comes out, right? So in part 2, Jerry's going to bring a joke that he's written. We'll see if we can get the origin story of it, maybe workshop it, punch it up a little bit. And then we'll also make some jokes on the fly. So looking forward to that. Jerry, dude, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. Man, great to be here. Thank you, Michael. It's great.
It's been fun hearing your story.
Yeah.
For those of you watching or listening, thanks so much for the support. Be sure to subscribe and share this. And we're going to stop there and say we hope that helps.
It's all messed up, yeah. Everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just